Ladies and gentlemen, I am Yuzral and welcome to the Tribble Timewarp. It is the 5th of November, remember, and this is Into the Hive Onslaught. The Borg Queen, having been handed the biggest kicking since she met good old Johnny Picard, has legged it off to her traditional diamond flagship. She is surrounded by Borg cubes, and guess who's being sent in after her? Yeah, why is it that every single major Starfleet, or indeed Klingon mission that I seem to do involves my superiors trying to get me killed? I make that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Borg cubes, Lord knows how many spheres, and I imagine there'll be all sorts of other goodies coming in as well. We have got... I make that...
I control every drop.
Yes.
Speaks with my voice.
Yes, shut up. I'm sure it makes for some interesting dinner table conversation, dear. Alright, so 4 Odysseys, 1 Prometheus, and couldn't tell if that was a Regent or just a standard assault cruiser, but who cares? Let the kicking commence. First phase of Hive Onslaught is a mass brawl with what pretty much amounts to a large Borg fleet. I was going to say it was the entire Borg fleet, but that's a total lie. You can clearly see the rest of it hanging around in the background. Fortunately, they don't seem too inclined to intervene, or this mission will be over very quickly. There is an optional objective in this phase, namely a timer, so yes, it's a DPS check. However, it's a fairly generous one, which means I don't have nearly the problem with this that I did with, well, pretty much the entirety of Ensnared. As you can see, we bought a cruiser-heavy team, or more accurately, that's what the matchmaking threw at us. Now, granted, this is Tribble, granted, those are probably fairly heavily equipped and top-of-the-line cruisers, but pretty decent time allocation, even for a team that isn't optimised on DPS. It also helps spare my blushes because Lord knows I suck in an escort. Having spent most of my career in science vessels as Starfleet, don't judge, man, don't judge. I tend to explode fairly rapidly. Fortunately, Odysseys are made of sterner stuff. There aren't any real bugs in this phase of the mission. It's a pretty simple design. The USS Houston appears as tough as you'd expect from any hero ship. I have no idea why Cryptic resized the background in the loading screens. You saw it right at the start of this video, and you just saw it again there. I assume they plan to do something with the black space, but beats me as to why. I don't know what was broken with the old version. Anyway, keep kicking Borg spheres, and essentially this is a standard knockdown drag-out fight. You don't have to engage the Borg at once, and a careful group might get some mileage out of pulling individual waves away from the main body of the Borg fleet, a la the Scarlet Monastery defence plan. But that said, you can just barge in as we did here, and unless your group really sucks, or you're doing it on Elite, this is normal mode, then you are going to get away with it for the most part. That said, if you're having problems with this phase of the mission, you are in for a lovely time. Oh yes, and she keeps talking at random intervals. They've done a reasonably decent job, not necessarily matching Alice Creedge's voice from First Contact, but the kind of marketing spiel that the Borg Queen tends to come up with, both in First Contact and in the Voyager series, particularly the mini-movie Dark Frontier, wasn't it? Pass, it's been years since I did it. You have to wonder, as Seven did, whether or not they'd get more recruits if they tried this, rather than simply resistance is futile and breaking out the buzzsaws. However, what is that? 6 minutes left on the clock. Cubes are going down fairly decently. Yes, I'm using tricobalt mines. They are very effective, actually. Unfortunately, the Borg do use fire at will, so you do occasionally have little issues with inadvertent point defence. Round again, break out heavy cannon. And yes, I should really have broken out multi-vector assault mode here, so I'm sure butts are being clenched as I watch. However, meh, the AI's got its moments now, for heaven's sake. And we still have a problem, I should note, with invisible one-shots, and indeed unavoidable one-shots. Granted, this is part and parcel of the Borg. Indeed, a couple of the optional objectives actually figure that in when they're working out what you need to do to get the bonus marks in this mission. Right. Refocus, reload, revive, and respawn. And back in we go. And is it me, or is the USS Houston having to respawn as well? I'm not sure, but it was certainly tied into most of the fleet, and I just saw it barrel past us there, so if so, that's a nice touch. I have the Houston as an NPC ship playing with the same mechanics as player vessels, and doing a better job of it than I am, to be perfectly frank, but hey, that's the AI for you. Right, we have got, what, a cube and a few spheres to go. Should really be focusing fire at this point, but part of this was to see just how badly you could play and still have this beatable. 2 cubes, I do apologise. So, loop back, turrets engaging. Dip. Sphere is gone, courtesy of the Tricobalt mines. I told you those things were worth having at times. Barrel onto the next sphere. If I have to criticise, you could probably take a couple of minutes off this phase and replace it with a few less Borg cubes and maybe, I don't know, maybe get rid of 4 of the Borg cubes and most of the spheres and just replace it with 3 or 4 tactical cubes. Then again, maybe I am just overthinking this. After all, it works, it's a good mass brawl, and it's a nice way to get everybody warmed up for Phase 2, which begins as soon as you kill off all the Borg vessels. So, as soon as we can get this done, got a little too close to an exploding cube there. Yes, the Borg are still stuffing their ships with dynamite. Derpy. Come on, kindly die. There we will be going shortly.
A massive energy buildup. They're preparing to fire lance weapons. I'll draw their fire. Get under their guns.
Yes, folks, the horizon gets blown up at the start of Phase 2, and you are now fighting 2 Borg command ships at once. These have all the abilities of the command ships you encounter in the Sector Alert, and they have a few others on top. I don't remember seeing a Borg command ship using feedback pulse, for example, although it has been a while since I ran one of these. Oh yes, and they do occasionally fire lancers even if you're close to the Queen's ship, as per there. That is a bug, as you can see, that should not be happening. They also go for torpedo scatter volley, aka the shotgun of doom. Essentially, you need to pick one of these vessels and knock it down fast. Because you have regen probes, you have plasma energy bolts, you have torpedo spread. There are a great many one-shots flying around in this phase of the mission, and if you're trying to deal with 2 of these, it is not pretty at all. In addition, if you do die, you will respawn some distance away from the Queen's ship. Yes, that means you are in complete kill zone for the Lance, and yes, I have seen people respawn and immediately get lanced to death again. This is where a group can devolve into a death spiral, as in you die, you rush back in and you die again, because the game forces you to do that. If you stay away, if you attempt to regroup at a safe distance, not only will everything heal up courtesy of the regeneration probes, and to be perfectly frank, just going out of combat, but you will carry on dying because the lances will target you. Yes. I can't help but think that either the devs didn't think this through, or they did think this through, and this is deliberately intended to make Phase 2 brutal by the standards of STO's multiplayer missions. This is not cozy at all, and the game itself actually recognises that. Sustain fire, optional objective, keep at least 3 players alive. I have seen groups wipe and break up on this phase. It has happened more than once. Fortunately, it is not happening here because that's the first command ship gone. And you know what? I am all for this. It is nice to have, even in normal mode, a recognition of, hey, you are going after the Borg Queen, one of the big bads of the Star Trek universe. It is not going to be an easy fight at all, and don't expect it to be fair. The hand-holding stopped the moment you engaged the Borg, ladies and gentlemen. So let's have none of this namby-pamby Borg stuff. The Borg should be brutal, and they should demand your A-game. Bear in mind, this is normal. Elite is even nastier. So yeah, you know what? Cryptic have been ramping up the difficulty for certain missions. They started it with the no-win scenario. They're doing it again with Into the Hive. I am all for this, but at the same time, part of me has got a certain feeling of, well, you know what? There are some abilities here where they are just calling... yeah, well, I'm just calling bullshit on some of the instant death abilities. Because if you literally cannot avoid getting one shot, if someone's going to die and then going to get repeatedly died, or rather repeatedly killed, then you are in a slightly awkward position from a game design standpoint, because, of course, you can't avoid the death spiral unless you are very, very good. On the other hand, hey, this is elite mode, playtime is over, kiddies. So, yeah, I suspect a lot of people are going to stick to normal on this mission, and even then it's going to be a decent challenge, which is fine by me, honestly. It really is. Not least because challenging normals like this serve as a gateway, in my view, to elite missions, which you see in World of Warcraft, you see in any progression-based MMO. While you go from 5-man normals to 5-man heroics to LFR to normal raids to heroic raids, or at least you used to. The distinctions blurred a little with Pandaria, another exploding ship, and the Borg Queen Diamond comes into play. 1.2 million health, ladies and gentlemen. That is on normal. I remind you, she is tough, and she will throw the kitchen sink at you. She will use every ability going. What do you expect? This is the Borg flagship. It has the accumulated knowledge and gear of every civilization they've ever assimilated, so hey, she wants to use feedback pulse, she can use feedback pulse. She wants to use fire at will, she'll use it. High yield torpedoes, no problemo. Needless to say, this gets very, very interesting. Somehow she's stacked multiple fire at wills there. I have no idea what's going on. I also have this weird little interaction. If you die targeting something, your helm will be locked facing it until you break the target lock, and then you can maneuver again as normal, as you just see me dealing with there. Which is odd. I'd never noticed it before the latest round of patches on Tribble, and it is exceptionally annoying. There's also a weird power level bug. I think it's tying into the mine system. You'll notice all my power levels suddenly capped out. Now, again, I'm not sure what's causing it, but 125 all power systems, ladies and gentlemen, I give you broken, particularly if it can be deliberately triggered by, say, using mines. I have to wonder what would have happened to my power levels if I deployed quantum mines or photon mines, just left it on auto fire. Instead of manually fired tricobot bombs, boom! Isometric charge followed up by plasma shotgun. Oh wow, that was not pretty. As I said, there are some very nasty one-shots, and she will throw the kitchen sink at you.
Resistance is futile.
Yeah, you've been saying that for 50 years and we're still here. Go away and die quietly. You'll notice the optional has changed again, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep someone alive. Now, it's tempting to say you can game that by having one person lurking over here and just staying nicely out of range while the other 4 pile on in and zerg her down. I'm assuming the devs have thought of that and given her a long-range lance. After all, the command ships had it. So, I must admit, I haven't tried it, because, let's face it, we're Starfleet. We're fighting the Borg. If your ship name's not Enterprise, your whole job is to barrel in, fire weapons, and die hideously until another starship is coming in. Optionally, they should disobey orders, thereby guaranteeing invulnerability and invoking plot threads. There we go, jam sensors. As I say, this woman has got every ability at her disposal, except possibly repairs, which would make her ridiculously overpowered. I also have no idea where the AI has suddenly decided to run off to, but apparently it didn't want to play with us anymore at this stage, so who knows. Right, charge on in again. Mines aren't quite ready, so we'll loop away and open up the range. Toss a couple of heals around. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you have to keep one player alive. Cross healing is good, and again she takes off and decides to do a full speed charge. I mean, I don't think that was ramming speed from her. It'd be interesting if she tried it. After all, in at least one continuity, the Borg rammed Pluto and then ate it, but that storyline, I believe, officially hasn't happened in the STO universe. Even if it would solve that dilemma. Jam sensors again, although it doesn't appear to be working very well, and I'm currently tiptoeing through hostile warp plasma. Yippee for me. As I say, she will deploy everything and anything, so you never really know what you're going to get thrown at you in this fight, except possibly lots and lots of plasma torpedoes. Gods above. I'm tempted to say Cryptic ought to tone down plasma spread. I've no problem with the high yield plasmas, except when they're invisible, because at least you've got a counter for that. But if you get the plasma scatter shot thrown at you, all you can do is brace for impact and pray. And I appear to have some work bees following me. Hi guys, nice of you to turn up. Dump in the tricobalts. All in all, it's a good conclusion to the Borg plotline. You'll remember, of course, that the horizon has blown up with goddamn plasma scatter shot 12,000 Bohr. Actually, no, it's more like 0.001 Bohr torpedo. Ugh. Seriously vexing, ladies and gentlemen. Bring plenty of hull heals if you're coming on this mission. So, the rest of the cruisers are weakening her down and holding their range, probably sensibly. And she just popped a Titan's Rift. Yay for the Borg! How many bridge officer slots does she have? So, barrel back in, see if they can actually kill her. I have no idea what Hio is doing over there. I mean, I don't know how he wound up over there, but who knows. Anyway, plough back on in. Charge the weapons, load the mines, and someone's dead again. Right, now we know she's roughly in that area. Is that... That's the Chimera's tachyon beam that she just pulled out. And, oh god, not again. Yeah. If they're going to make one change to this fight, they need to get rid of that scatter volley. This is... I don't mind brutal, but if you can get one tool like that, it is very rapidly going to suck the fun out of it, particularly on elite mode, where it's going to be even more likely to happen, courtesy of higher damage numbers, and of course you'll be racking up injuries. Everyone's favourite regicide, ladies and gentlemen, although he didn't take him long to get over here from over there, so, wondering what's going on. And of course we have the uber long timer because I died twice in quick succession. In fact, I think they're going to kill her before I manage to respawn, which is irritating. Yeah, there she goes. Right, let's see if we actually get marks. So 25 from starters here. Respawn. Okay, let's see what happens, because...
I am Borg. I am eternal. This is not the end.
And we have the traditional defiance of all Saturday morning villains. Alright, so the octahedron is gone. You have the option to scan for escape pods, even as the Borg Queen sounds way too happy for someone who was just blown up. Alright, D'Vak and most of the Horizons crew survived. They got to the escape pods. Considering that they had less than 5 seconds between the Lancers hitting and the ship blowing up, those are some truly impressive evacuation protocols. Omega marks aren't being awarded at the moment. I have to flag that as a major bug, because, let's face it, no reward means people aren't going to be redoing this mission. I also have to note that not killing D'Vak at this point strikes me as a missed opportunity to explore a couple of points. First off, the psychological impact on Starfleet personnel of fighting an enemy that tends to result in a massive butcher's bill every time it's done. And second off, the whole moral problem from the Federation's point of view of, are you willing to commit genocide if that's the only way to stop the Borg? Right, however, those are just my opinions, and obviously STO's writers seem to have different ones. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Tribble Timewarp, and I'll see you next time.